President Trump signs the Epstein bill, and now the Justice Department is on the clock. What we can actually expect in these next 30 days. Plus, a meeting that was not on the calendar. The president agreeing to sit down with New York Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. And Border Patrol's new Eyes on the Road, a massive camera network tracking drivers nationwide. Is it safety or scary surveillance? The stories that matter, clear and credible. From across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News. Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. The clock is officially ticking this morning. President Trump has signed the bill ordering the Justice Department to release all of its Jeffrey Epstein files. And the government now has 30 days to make them public. The law is sweeping. It requires the DOJ to turn over every record tied to Epstein, including internal communications and documents related to the investigation into his death in federal custody back in 2019. The only exceptions, information that identifies victims or interferes with ongoing investigations. What the government can't do is hold anything back because it's embarrassing, politically sensitive, or damaging to reputations. The law also requires a second report within 15 days explaining every redaction.
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency.
On Truth Social, Trump called the focus on the files a distraction from what he describes as Republican victories, and again insisting Democrats have deeper ties to Epstein than he does, writing, "Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed." And the fallout from last week's email release continues. Former Treasury Secretary and Harvard professor Larry Summers announced he's taking a leave from teaching and stepping down from the board of OpenAI and other positions days after his emails with Epstein surfaced. Earlier this week, Summers said he would only scale back his public commitments. He's now pulling back much further. President Trump says he will meet with New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani at the White House tomorrow. He isn't exactly rolling out the red carpet, using a Truth Social post to say the meeting was at, quote, Communist Mayor Mamdani's request, as he prepares to take over as the leader of the nation's largest city. A spokesperson for Mamdani says it's customary for New York's incoming mayor to sit down with the president. And he says Mamdani plans to press Trump on public safety, economic security, and the affordability agenda that more than 1 million New Yorkers voted for 2 weeks ago. The meeting comes after months of tension. Trump has been openly critical of Mamdani ever since he defeated former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary, even threatening to withhold federal funding if Mamdani won the mayor's race. The Associated Press is reporting that U.S. Border Patrol has quietly built a mass surveillance network using license plate cameras to track drivers and flag suspicious behavior. The AP reports the program, called the Predictive Intelligence Program, operates along both the southern and northern borders and has now expanded into large cities. What started as a tool to spot drug trafficking and illegal crossings has grown as the Trump administration leans on Border Patrol for immigration crackdowns, including recent deployments in Chicago and Charlotte. The system scans license plates, analyzes driving patterns, and can flag vehicles as suspicious, leading to traffic stops even for minor violations. In a statement, U.S. Customs and Border Protection said it uses license plate readers responsibly to, quote, identify threats and disrupt criminal networks. A major reversal from the Social Security Administration to tell you about, and one that could spare hundreds of thousands of older Americans from losing disability benefits. The agency is abandoning plans to rewrite how disability claims are judged after a wave of backlash that reached all the way to the Trump White House. That's according to new reporting from the Washington Post. At the center of it, an effort to remove age as a factor in deciding whether someone can still work. Advocates warned it would hit people over 50 the hardest, the very group the program was designed to protect. That proposal was just days away from being published, but the Post reports that SSA Commissioner Frank Bonsignano has pulled the plug, telling disability advocates the rule is not moving forward. Politically, too, this was becoming a problem. Cutting disability rolls would have undercut President Trump's repeated promise not to touch Social Security. For now, the agency is not commenting, but advocates are calling this a relief for older Americans who depend on these benefits just to stay afloat. This morning, a big shakeup in podcast land. Apple is out with its year-end rankings, and the Joe Rogan Experience has officially knocked The Daily off the top spot. Rogan takes number 1, followed by The Daily at number 2, and a surprise number 3, the Mel Robbins podcast, which wasn't even in the top 10 last year. Crime Junkie and Dateline hold steady in the top 5, showing America's appetite for true crime is not going anywhere. Call Her Daddy cracked the list, as did The Ezra Klein Show. And Rogan is still dominating on YouTube. His 2-hour marathons draw millions of views a week. Apple says this year's breakouts also include celebrity hangout shows like Amy Poehler's Good Hang and Kylie Kelsey's Not Gonna Lie, which debuted at number 2 among new shows. And hey, maybe next year, Unbiased Updates will make that top 10. Hey, stranger things have happened, and we know you're listening and hopefully watching, and we say thank you. Finally this morning, I love this story. Sometimes one image cuts through the chaos and reminds us what resilience looks like. Take a look. You might remember this viral photo from the Palisades fire back in January. A single bright blue 1977 Volkswagen van, you can't miss it right there, called Azul, standing untouched while everything around it was reduced to rubble and ash. A snapshot of the devastation with one stubborn splash of color, refusing to give in. Well, get this, Azul is back, restored, repainted, reborn. Volkswagen's class car team in Oxnard spent months rebuilding the van piece by piece, replacing melted parts, scrubbing out the smoke, bringing back the shine that the fire tried to steal. Azul goes on display later today at the LA Auto Show. How about that? Not as a collector's item, but as something simpler. Proof that even when everything around burns, something can still stand, something can still survive, and sometimes can even come back brighter. Wow. By the way, I was thinking, do you think they would be offended if I went to that car show and asked to see the Carfax report, right? It would probably be pretty long, or perhaps just one word, nostalgic. Think about that. All right, here's what else we're tracking today. The government's long data drought finally breaks at 9 when the Labor Department drops its delayed September jobs report. Markets are bracing for modest gains. At 11, Washington pauses to honor former Vice President Dick Cheney with a funeral service at the National Cathedral. Former President Joe Biden will attend, and former President George W. Bush will give a tribute. This afternoon, a federal judge in Maryland weighs the fate of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's deportation fight to Liberia. Later today, in Alabama, a high-stakes vote on restricting transgender-themed books in the state's public libraries. A cultural flashpoint back in the spotlight there. Get all of the news, none of the nonsense. Sign up for our Unbiased Updates newsletter at san.com/newsletters. Those are your Unbiased Updates for this Thursday. Thanksgiving not far off. We'll see you back here tomorrow, Friday. We love that. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.